Today I'm going to show you one way to create ethical AI music where you're not using anybody's copyrighted recordings and you're not using anybody's voice in an unauthorized fashion. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the creative uses of AI, and AI music is a fascinating topic of discussion these days. There's so many tools that are spitting out incredible AI generated content, and with all of that comes a lot of controversy about copyright. And we want to try to avoid as much trouble as we can around here, don't we, boys and girls? So whenever I'm demonstrating something here on the channel, I try to use as much copyright-free material as possible. That's why I'll use voice conversion services like Kits.ai, which offers up voices that were recorded exclusively for those services, and so there are no licensing issues. And they offer a variety of different singing styles. We're going to use several tools today. I mentioned Kits, but we're also going to be using Band in a Box and another tool that we've talked here on the channel about called Ace Studio. And to put everything together, you can use whatever multi-track audio editor you are comfortable with. So by the end of this little experiment here, I want to generate a recording of Fly Me to the Moon, where the soundtrack is completely unique and copyright free, and that the vocal is a female. And that will be converted from my male voice using any number of these tools. We're just going to play with some voices and see which ones we like the best, and then we're going to see what kind of finished product we can create starting from basically scratch. If you go to the Band in a Box webpage, you'll see that they have various packages available, and a lot of the differences between the packages are the number of styles you get. Just for your information, I'm actually working with the Ultra Pack Plus, and you can see it says 5,000 hours of real tracks. That may not mean anything to you now, but it will one day if you explore this program. So let's find out if you think exploring this program is worth it. Normally, if I wanted to generate Fly Me to the Moon as a background track here in Band in a Box, I would go through and I would type in all the chords in these little boxes that correspond with the bars of the song from some chord sheet that I found somewhere. But there's an easier way to do it. Band in a Box allows you to import MIDI files, and it will interpret the chords from the MIDI files and plug them all in for you. But let's first find a MIDI file for Fly Me to the Moon. Now, there are MIDI files all over the internet, and some of these sites that have these MIDI downloads are a little questionable. Use at your own risk. If you can find another source of MIDI files that you feel better about, go for it. This site is one I found that I feel the most comfortable with so far, and it also had just the types of MIDI files I was looking for. And also be prepared for a lot of ads. But we can be in and out of here in a hurry. We'll just go up here and type Fly Me to, and let's see if we can find it. The Moon. Fly Me to the Moon. Download this MIDI file. I'm saving all my work files in a folder called Fly Me Demo. Then back in a Band in a Box, I just go under File and import chords from MIDI file. Up here, I choose the MIDI file by clicking here, navigating to the Fly Me demo, and just open that file up in here. You will see that it says that the file has no key signature in it, and analysis shows that the key is likely C, which is correct. You'll also see that it has also found a tempo of 200, a time signature of 4/4. Now there's a lot of stuff you can do here. Just leave everything at the default and click on Interpret Chords Now, and you'll see that it filled the charts in automatically. Click on Close. And now we choose a style, and here's a really cool part about Band in a Box. Now to choose a style, you click the magnifying glass up here. Depending on what package you have, you will have more or less styles than I do here. But what style to choose? Now I am going more traditional in the approach here, so I want something sort of jazzy like we're used to with Fly Me to the Moon. But up here, if you type in a familiar song title, like Fly Me to the Moon, you'll see that it gives you several choices. Fly Me to the Moon with Julie London, Diana Krall. These are like styles that are associated with that. I'm going to choose that right there, and just by clicking that, now it narrows down the style choices here for styles that will fit in there. Let's preview a few of these. Okay, right away I see that it's previewing the melody. I really don't want that, because when Band in a Box uses a melody, it usually uses some sort of a harsh MIDI sound, and that's not what I want. Besides, we're going to be singing the melody, so I don't care what they've got for the melody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go over here to the mixer, and I'm going to mute both the brass and the trombone, because these are basically our ensemble instruments right here. So now when I play, we don't hear the melodies. Now that particular style was completely inappropriate, so let's go back. Let's make sure we've got the right set. Fly Me to the Moon. And let's listen to a few more. Those are nice. That's cool. That's crazy. That's interesting. I just want to hear what that sounds like. Fly me to the moon and let me play. I'm going to play with that style. I'm going to transpose it up because this is going to be converted to a female voice, and I don't want to be down here. Even though I'm going to obviously raise it up an octave during the conversion, I'd rather be closer in the range. So let's see what this sounds like. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. That's way low still. I don't mind having like maybe a throaty female voice in there, but that seems a little low still. The nice thing about the conversion is I don't have to be that great of a singer. Fly me to the moon. Okay, I'm gonna play with that because I know, even though I know it's gonna get high there at the end, maybe I won't let you even hear me attempt that. You can just hear the converted part. What I like to do is to create an audio track of me singing isolated from this. So I may as well go ahead and output this backing track as an audio file and bring it into my multi-track DAW. In this case, I'm going to use Adobe Audition, but you can use Audacity or whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to quick export song as an MP3 file, just call it backup. Remember, I did mute the brass and the trombone because I didn't want any of the melody in there. The birds want to sing this song along with me. Okay, that's been rendered. We are done with Band in a Box. Dun, 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 dun. So in Adobe Audition, I'm just going to drag the backup MP3 into track 1, arm this track for recording, see that it is in fact recording, and go for it. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Ooh, that's rough up there in that Please Be True part. I wonder if I'm going to have let you heard that. So now I've got that vocal track. There's no need to listen to it. I can see it's there. I'm going to go straight to this audio track, and I'm going to listen to it just to make sure it recorded. Okay, it did. And I'm going to save this out as solo voice. And just for ease of access, I'm going to back up into this track. That's not where Adobe Audition wants to put it, but that's where I'm putting it because I'm the boss around here. Solo voice. We'll minimize Adobe Audition because we're definitely coming back. Now we're going to convert the voice. We want to find the right voice for this particular song. We'll go over to our old friend Kits and see what they've got. The first thing I'm going to do is drag the audio file, the solo audio file, right here, and then I'm going to go select a voice. We can audition the voices by clicking play on any of them that have that play button. Now that is a female French pop, so I don't really want that accent in there necessarily, although it might be cool. How much you can be without. Let's see, female pop disco. I know that you miss me. So I'm trying to think in terms of that song, female traditional pop, or that arrangement. I've been awake for a while now. Listen to see what that sounds like. Just going to choose that. It says here that the pitch is too low, which I expected because we are converting from male to female, so it's a fun little fire drill there. We are converting from male to, so I expect to raise it up an octave. They also have the option for auto, which it will do it itself. Let's take a peek at the advanced settings, see if there's anything else we need to change. There aren't any instrumentals to remove. There aren't any backup vocals. We can leave everything just how it is. We're going to click convert. And let's listen. To the moon, play among the stars. In other words, forevermore, I hope for. I want to try auto-tune. It gives us the option of choosing auto-tune when we import, and I know that when I get to that one note when I say please be true, it's all kinds of flat. So I'm just going to click convert and see what it does to it. I may not like it. I'll go ahead and listen to it, the original. Please be true. Yeah, well, a little sharp actually. In other words. Well, we'll see. Let's see what this did. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. So that's actually not a bad voice. Just isolated there with no effects or anything, it sounds kind of flat, but I'm going to go ahead and download it. Why don't we just go ahead and throw it into Audition here and see what it sounds like. We're just dragging it in from downloads. We will mute the original, and with no effects or anything, we'll just preview it.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
All right, let's throw a little bit of reverb or whatever on there.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
A little bit more reverb.
Fly me to the moon and let me play.
Let's see, maybe a little bit of compression of some kind.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on.
That made the reverb crazy. Let's take that down a bit to normalcy. Okay, so that's a test. I will go ahead and I'm going to drag her down here and mute that, because this way we have this channel already set up with the effects for the next test we do. So let's go back to Kits and just preview another voice. Just click switch voice. Let's try something a little different.
Just keep your soul by your side. And
wow, okay.
Stay back unless you wanna get brought in my fires like.
I'm curious, aren't you? Let's do it. We'll leave the settings here. I think it's already going to be set for plus 12. It is. Let's convert it. Oh no, I'm sorry. Got to turn off that auto tune. Let's try again. We're going to ignore that conversion. I think I downloaded the auto tune version of the other one, didn't I? I didn't mean to, but I don't think that's going to be our final version.
Among the stars, Mars, in other words, forevermore, adore, in other words.
I guess I figured it would be higher. It's not, but that's okay. I'm actually going to download that one too, but instead of just testing it right now, we'll just keep that over there, say solo female voice. Let's try one more, switch voice. And by the way, I could use any of the voices that I've cloned myself or created myself. You can use anything in your Kits library to do this. I'm just wanting to make sure that we use voices that are, first of all, professional singers in the first place, and that we have the clearance to use them.
he filled my days with endless wonder.
Okay, that's female jazz. Let's play with that one. This actually says that plus 12 is too low. So I wonder, I'm gonna just click through the numbers and see where it says it's okay. But it says it's okay right above 12. So I'm just gonna try it. It may not be a good voice for this at all. It still may be too low and not sound very good, but let's listen.
The moon, and let me play
I like
other
it.
words more. You are all I hope for.
Okay, that's pretty good. I'm downloading it. All right, so that's female jazz, and then we had the other one. Let's preview these. Let's bring in the first one, which was the female gospel.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
I like that pretty much. Okay, I'm going to move this down. I'm happy with both these, actually. All right, and now the solo female jazz.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Hold my hand.
Yeah, they don't sound good together because they're exactly the same frequency. We need to do some stuff to make that better. If only there was a tool that we could take this basic vocal track and like easily flesh it out and create some backup singers. How could we, if only there, well, I guess we'll get to it. Okay, I like solo voice female jazz. I think she's awesome and makes me sound like I know what I'm doing for the most part. But let's flesh it out a little more. We already learned that if I was to try to thicken this up a little bit with these two,
The moon, and
the frequencies are sitting right on top of each other. They're phasing out. It sounds terrible. So there's ways you could do this with EQ and other things that I don't really know too much about. So I'm going to use another tool to cheat this process in a probably way overcomplicated way, but it allows me to show you a fun way to use this other tool. And maybe you can take the concept into another project that might be more practical. Let's go ahead and get rid of these two tracks we know we're not going to use. And we're going to load Ace Studio. Ace Studio is an interesting little animal. It allows us to take that audio recording of the singing track and it will convert it into MIDI and read the lyrics, and then you can change the voice out, you can change the lyrics, you can do all kinds of stuff. Why don't I just show you what I'm talking about? So we're going to drag that same WAV file of the solo jazz female that we like, and it says right here, convert the acapella to MIDI clip. We're going to keep it in English because it's going to listen to the words of the song and try its best to transcribe them. Click on convert, and after a little bit of time you can see here it's converted that recording into basically MIDI notes and assigned words to them. Fly me to the moon. Let me play. So if there's a word that's wrong, we can just double click it, type it correctly, and that is something that we generally want to do with this type of thing. Among the stars. In this case, it's breaking the word among into the 2 syllables. That's why we have a number 1 and a number 2. And it drops spring completely for whatever reason. So be able to hear what this even sounds like, which we should probably do, is we drag a voice into it. We're going to drag Bianca in for right now. We can change it out very easily. Click on play. Give the AI a second to render out this new voice.
Let me see what it's like in a Jupiter and...
Those voices are completely AI generated, and we'll say whatever it is we type here. We could change these lyrics to something ridiculous and it would have to sing them because we are the master. Remember that. Okay, so fly me to the moon and let me... So we're missing the word spring. We can add it. Just need to find that part in the song. Let's see. Spring. So we want to be able to draw... Wrong, but I'll move it and expand it. And type the word spring. And back up a little bit and play it.
Let me see what spring is like in a Jupiter and...
So like in, it should be like on. So you can see it kind of made up a word here. Like in. I like how it caught Jupiter and Mars. There's so much you can do in this program with adjusting the pitch, and that's really not the purpose of this part of this demo. I've got another video that's on Ace, and we drill down into some of these features a little bit more. What I really wanted to show you here was a way to easily flesh out some background singers so that the lead singer in our other mix isn't quite so alone, has some support, and maybe we can even add some harmonies in here that weren't recorded originally. So now we have this track with Bianca singing, and we want to flesh that out a little bit too. And it has a wonderful feature built in here called Create Vocal Doubles for this track. I'm just going to click that, go with the defaults, click Create, and instantly it creates 2 more duplicates of that track, but you'll hear that some of the parameters are adjusted so it sounds more full. We've panned some to the left, panned to the right. So if you've got headphones on, you can hear the separation. It is saying among weird, and best practice is make sure before you start duplicating tracks that you've got all your words right, all the notes are right. We could spend a lot of time editing this in precise ways, but again, I'm here to teach you a concept more than to create a finished product. So now we've got a little bit more fleshed out background vocals. We could just export this right now and then bring it into Adobe. I want to play with just at least 1 line of harmony here, so I'm going to just choose one of these tracks, maybe this one here, and make it a harmony line. So right now we've got... That's sketchy at best. Fly me to... I'm going to move this where it belongs here. Come on. To the moon. That'll sound much better.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
All right, I'm just going to play with a kind of a harmony here. Now I'm holding down the shift key so it doesn't roam to the left or the right when I move it. So now let's see what that did in the mix. I'm not going to worry about this being perfect for this demo.
To the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Okay, admittedly that harmony part is a little weird and I should work on it, but again, I wanted to show you that you can add harmonies here. Clearly the best practice is, Bob, just go back and sing the harmonies, for crying out loud. I would never do it this way if I was in control of the singing. This would be something you would do if the singer wasn't around and go, wow, I really need a harmony line and I've got this, you know, it's a specific use case. But I'm going to go ahead and export all of this just as it is. I want the entire master, not selected tracks or individual tracks, separated out. I'm going to keep it in its current format and click on export and call it backup singers. So now I've got backup singers. We'll bring the backup singers in here. I'll go ahead and take these 2 effects and just copy them move them down to the backup singers, paste them there, and let's just see what it sounds like.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me.
Okay, so I think you get the idea of the workflow, using Band in a Box to generate background tracks where you don't have to worry about using a copyrighted recording and using fully licensed voices for your track. Now, of course, you can use these tools on any combination, and there's so much more you could do. So I hope I've effectively demonstrated at least one way that you can use AI to create music without worrying about ethical considerations other than the fact that you're covering a song, and cover songs have their own process for being able to do legally, which doesn't have all of these question marks in it that approach that a lot of people are taking with AI music, which is to say, here, I pushed a button and this is mine. And that's going to be problematic on down the line. For now, using this technique keeps you safe and using AI tools for the creative inspiration that I think that they're best suited for anyway. If this is the kind of stuff you like to think about, look at, and learn about, why not subscribe to this channel? Because that's what we do here almost all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you, and I